Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into part 2 of the 10th Winter 2021-2022 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again, it's time to bring you part 2 of yet another winter update. We are getting ever closer now to the end of our winter update. We've got 13 penciled in, so once this one is out of the way, we've only got 3 more to go. Can you believe it? But we've still got so much data to show you. And this one is going to be an absolute epic. Got 110. I'm sure you can see it. Look at it. Just look at that. We've got 110 open tabs right now. This is old school winter updates. We're going to party like it's 2018 or something. 2019. I don't know. But 110 tabs to get through. It's going to be a crazy Gav winter update, and I'm going to get on with it for you in a moment, because this is the analog side of the 10th winter update. We did the part 1 of the 10th winter update yesterday on Sunday, looking at things like CW temperature anomalies, solar activity, Eurasian snow cover, etc, and so you have not yet seen part 1 of the 10th update. It's a really good watch, and do check that out. And of course, now, as I say, we've got part 2 to bring. We're going to be looking at loads of October data for this one. And I'm going to get on with it for you in a moment. But just to say that the first video release was our 7 AM upload. And we've also released a 10 to 14 day as well. That includes all the regular features. Please check that out. It's going to be a long video, of course, with 110 tabs to get through. It's going to be an epic. You can't watch it all in one go. Don't worry, it will be kept within the winter updates playlist on the YouTube homepage, so you'll be able to come back and watch the video on demand whenever you would like to. I'm going to put in several breaks through the video where you can stop it and, go off and stretch your legs, digest what you just witnessed, and then come back and see a little bit more. And so if you want to watch in bite sizes, then you can do that. It's absolutely fine. Alternatively, you could just want to watch in one go from beginning to end, and have a true epic, and that's absolutely fine. As well, however you want to watch these updates, it really is down to how you want to do it. I'm going to get on with it in a second. Just to say that I'm going to say thank you so much to Richard for the amazing winter updates gift. Thank you so much, Rich, for the gift. It's an incredible gift, and thank you so much, my friend. You know how much I love the winter updates gift this year. And also, of course, to Shryan. So thank you so much to Shryan Brewing for helping me with this update. Shryan's got all of the years together for me, and we've worked so hard on this, particularly Shryan, getting all of the years together. So thank you so much to Shryan Brewing. Thank you so much, Shryan, as ever. Absolutely epic, my friend. So, thanks to Rich. And thanks so much to Shryan, too. Right, we're going to bring you some October to winter data, I think. Shall we do it? Shall we do it? Let's do it. Right, okay, so let's go to Steve's page at the UK Met. Here we go then. So, October Central England temperature came out at 12.1. 12.1 for the Central England temperature. That is 1.5 degrees above average. So, wow. Was a pretty mild October once again. So, for the first batch, we've got 4 sets to show you in this update of analogues. The first set of analogues is going to be looking at winters following October's with a CT range of 11.7 to 12.5 degrees. 11.7 to 12.5 degrees is our CT range on this first batch of analogues. It really is 11.5 to 12.5 actually, but there is no year before 1836 that has either 11.5 or 11.6, so that means that basically the range is 11.7 to 12.5. Right, and that, of course, that places October 2021 slap bang in middle of the range. Right, let's do this then. So we're going to start off with our first winter for October CT range of 11.7 to 12.5, which is a winter of 1861-1862. This is a cold winter with above average heights to the north, below average heights to the south, with bringing wind from an easterly direction. I'm going to try and get through these as quickly as I can. It'd be interesting to see what running time on this video is. Our next winter, quite a long gap actually, so next time we have an October CT range of 11.7 to 12.5 is in October 1908. So our next winter is 1908-1909, and this one has, it's cold winter actually, has high pressure to the north and east. It has low pressure to the south, bringing in winds from the east as regular cold and wintry outbreaks during what is quite a cold winter for 1908-1909. Not a severely cold winter, but, you know, it is a cold winter, and based on, like, modern climate, it would be, you know, regarded as really quite a cold and snowy winter. Another really long gap, so the next time we have October city range of 11.7 to 12.5 is in 1945. The winter of 1945-1946 is a little bit of a teaser winter in terms of the overall 500 millibar geopotential height anomaly. There's some blocking to the north and some lower pressure to the east. It's not a particularly cold winter, but I think it does have a couple of colder outbreaks, and that's primarily focused on January of 1946, I think. Our next winter is 1949-1950. This is a mild and wet winter. It's been shown up quite a bit, actually, in our winter updates, I think, this year. So this one is a mild and wet winter with low pressure in from off the Atlantic Ocean. Our next winter is another cold winter. It's 1954-1955. So this one, again, has a blocking signal towards Greenland. And let's change the colour, shall we? It has below average heights over and to the east of the country, with this one bringing wind from a north or northeasterly direction. So that's a pretty cold winter. Generally quite mild January 54, but generally quite mild December 54, but January and February 55, it's pretty cold. Another cold winter showing up as 1968-1969. This one has a classic negative LEO type signature and a lot of blocking within the high latitudes, especially focused on Greenland. Now, this is a very interesting winter. It has a cold late December to New Year, and does include a classic white Christmas for some places in 1968, but it has a very wet and mild January, and then at the end of January and into February of 69, the winter really bites, and we have a very cold and snowy February in 1969. Overall, it is another cold winter, following an October city range of 11.7 to 12.5. Our next winter is 1977-1978. So this is a teaser. This is a teaser winter again, with some lower pressure to the south and the jet stream going southwards as well. It does have a blocking signal to the north. With this winter, it's mild early on, and then it gets cold later. So February is really when the winter is at its coldest, February of 1978. It's very on-off and really teasing what's to come in the next winter. And this is that next winter. This is 1978-1979. Have a look at this one. So this again, following October city range of 11.7 to 12.5. 1978 did have a warm October, a mild October, and a very dry October too. This one sends a jet stream a long way southwards, and of course has all of this high pressure within the northern latitudes. So it's a classic cold signal. Winds in from the east, very snowy winter for winter of discontent even, 78-79. That's another cold winter. We've got a long gap then through to 1989. So the next time we have an October city range of 11.7 to 12.5 is in 1989. The winter of 1989-1990 is very mild, completely the opposite to 78-79. This one's complete flip around on that. And this is a mild, wet and windy winter with lots of low pressure to the northwest, high pressure across central parts of Europe. That's a very mild and wet winter for 1989 and 1992. 1992, I should say, not 1992. I mean, you see what I mean? Right, okay, I shouldn't have gone off on that tangent, should I? Right, okay, next up, we've got 1919. Now, it's getting a little bit more frequent now, these warm Octobers. So now we've got 1919, 1991. This is another cold winter following a warm October. This one, again, with high pressure over Scandinavia and bringing in the winds from the east. It doesn't get really cold until February, but when it gets going, the winter of 1991 is very, very, very cold, and has that real freeze up through the first half of February 1991. Wow, if we had a repeat of that, just think about it. Next up, we've got 1996, 1997. This is a funny old winter. So the 500 millibar height anomaly doesn't tell us much, really, about this winter. It has an area of above average heights over and to the east of the country, low pressure to the west. The thing about this winter is that it is cold early on, so it has quite a cold December, and particularly around Christmas and New Year, with real easterly winds and bitterly cold weather around Christmas and New Year. That cold weather lasts into like the first 10 days or so of January 1997, when it starts getting milder, and February 1997 is actually very mild, wet and windy. Early spring. The next winter is 2009-2010, following an October city range of 11.7 to 12.5. This one, again, with lots of high latitude blocking. It's a proper cold winter. 09-10, Centimetre jet stream south was very much, very comparable, I think, to 78-79, although not quite as snowy in the south anyway. It was very snowy winter in the north. But yeah, that's a proper cold winter again for 08-09. I've got a mild winter showing up next. This is 2013-2014. This is mild, wet and stormy, with lots of low pressure over and to the west of the country. Can we bring in those winds from the west and from the southwest? Next up, we've got 2014-2015. This is about average. Average sort of wind, has low pressure to the north, high pressure to west-southwest. You bring in like a westerly, northwesterly type wind with this winter. It's generally, nondescript and quite benign. It does have a few cold snaps here and there, a few wintry outbreaks, but it's not a particularly cold winter. But I suppose for an Atlantic-driven western winter, it is pretty cold. And then the last time we have an October with a city range of 11.7, 12.5 is 2017, I think. So winter of 2017-2018, of course, is the beach from the east. Winter with lower pressure to our east, higher pressure out to west, and also to the north around Svalbard. So sorry, everybody. So this winter, yes, it does have a cold, very cold end of February. Also has some cold and snowy in December of 2017, by the way, which a lot of people sort of forget now. But it does have quite a cold and snowy interlude. Now, it doesn't last that long, but it's an interlude of cold and snowy weather in December 2017. And there's a few cold snaps coming and going in January as well. But really late February into March is when the beast bites. Okay, let's start putting all that together then for our first set of analogues. So this is how all Decembers combined are looking following an October city range of 11.7 to 12.5. This one is quite unsettled, actually. All Decembers combined, quite unsettled with below average heights over to west country. There is a blocking signal to the north, but it's rather weak and reduced, actually. So generally, I would think a wet and rather mildish sort of December is favoured overall. Notice how much stronger the blocking gets in January, though. We really start to raise the heights within the high latitudes in January, and so we have this area of below average heights over the UK and Western Europe. But there is cold potential there with those Januaries due to the strength of the northern blocking signal. Definite cold potential in the Januaries, and all Februaries combined also showing cold potential as well, with blocking again strengthened around Greenland, lower pressure through the west of Europe. Again, all February's combined following October city range of 11.7 to 12.5 definitely has some wintry potential. Not all of these Februaries are cold by any means, but there is the potential there with the strength of blocking around Greenland and Iceland. And all winters combined following October city range of 11.7 to 12.5 looks like that. So we do see a strong northern blocking signal, particularly focused on Greenland. And so although the below average heights isn't, on the chart, it's not far enough south to be pulling in cold air from the north and the east, really. But due to the strength of the blocking, we can see that many of these winters, a lot of them, are going to be having cold weather going on with that strength of northern blocking. If now everything's down, just have a look at the years after 1950. So this is how all Decembers combined are looking following October city range of 11.7, 12.5 post 1950. So we have some higher pressure around Greenland. We have some lower pressure across western parts of Europe, and probably a slightly colder signal actually for those December. Still unsettled, but actually after 1950, probably a greater chance of something a little bit colder, more particularly for northern areas, I suppose. That's all Januaries combined post 1950, very similar to the overalls, all Januaries combined, very much strengthening the blocking within the high latitudes, Not the below average heights across the rest of Europe. As it is, it's a very unsettled signal for most January. It's very wet. But with the strength of the northern blocking, there's definitely an increased elevated risk of cold outbreaks. Perhaps less of a risk in February. South all February's combined are looking following October CT of 11.7 to 12.5. So just like a wet signal for the February's really, we lose the blocking. The blocking is reduced a lot. It's still about a little bit, but the blocking is reduced a lot. And so February looks like it favours after 1950 with this CT range a very sort of wet and mild outcome. Bear in mind there are exceptions. There's 1969 in there, which, for example, which is a very cold and snowy February, so and also 55 to some degree. So you're always going to get exceptions to the rule with this. But overall, probably favouring a rather wetter signal for February and a little bit milder too. And then finally, this out all winters combined are looking following October CT range of 11.7 to 12.5, and it's an unsettled post 1950 unsettled signal with below average heights across the UK and Western Europe, but we do have a blocking signal there. That's particularly focused on January. I think with this set of analogues, January definitely 100% has the greatest chance of being cold. So long since had a cold and wintry January, we are due for one. So, could January 2022 be the one? Who knows? That's what we're trying to answer, I suppose. And we're going to have to come up with answers when we do our forecast, which we will do on the 2nd of December. You know, we're going to have to answer all of those questions. And it's going to be interesting to see, isn't it? Right, okay, so that is the first set of 4 analogues, analog sets for this 10th Winter 2021-2022 update part 2. I'll pause the video there. You sort of stretch your legs if you want to digest what you've just seen. I mean, you can come back and watch the rest of it, or you can just carry on, and I shall be back around 1 second, and you won't notice, any break, really, unless an ad crops up or something, which it can do, as YouTube is very, very clever in knowing where the breaks are. But in any case, I'm going to pause the video there, and I'll see you in around 1 second. See you soon. Okay, we're back, and we're ready to resume part 2 of the 10th Winter 2021-2022 update from GavsWeatherVids. So if you've enjoyed the video so far, please can you smash that like button, make sure you subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to drop a comment and let us know if you have missed all of our videos. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Interesting set of analogues to start off with, wasn't it? Looking at the October CT. We've got more from a CT later on in the video, actually. Towards the end of the video, I have another batch. And we're going to count down the top 20. You believe this, the top 20 warmest Octobers and winters that follow. And that's going to be a bit of fun coming up at the end of the video. But before that, we've got plenty to show you in terms of precipitation. So let's crack on, shall we? We're going to go to the England and Wales precipitation page at the UK Met Office. And, of course, the England and Wales precipitation index is an index that goes all the way back to 1766. It's a very, very old precipitation index, indeed not quite as old as the CT, which goes back to 1659, but nevertheless it is a very old temperature precipitation index. What am I talking about? Right, let's go down through the years and centuries and come down to 2021. There it is. Now we have not got the time I'm recording the video. I expect by the time you're watching this, it will be placed on the page, but at the point where I'm recording the video, on the 4th of November, we have still not got the October England and Wales precipitation number. That'll be placed just there. However, we think very strongly it's going to come in very close, around 145 millimeters. England and Wales precipitation will come out very close to 145 millimeters, and so very simply we're going to be looking at winters following Octobers with an England and Wales precipitation range of 135 to 155 millimeters, which of course places October 2021 slap bang in the middle of that particular range. Wet October, very interesting how wet this October has been. Actually, that is well above average. Right, okay, let's start looking at winters then. So this is how it's our first winter. This is how winter of 1843-1844 is looking following October England and Wales precipitation range of 135 to 155 millimeters. Here we go then. So this is another cold winter in the Victorian area. Has above average heights in the Atlantic going up towards Greenland, has below average heights across the north and west of Europe, east semi-jet stream southwards. That's a cold and snowy winter for 1843, 1844. Our next winter is another cold winter. It's 1846, 1847. This one again with blocking around Greenland, below average heights to our south, bringing in wind from an east or northeast direction, cold and wintry winter there. Our next winter, following October, England and Wales precipitation range of 135 to 155 millimeters, is 1872, 1873. This is a milder, wetter winter with below average heights over the west of Europe, so that's a mild and wet winter. Our next winter is 1885, 1886. This has some colder potential. I don't think it's a particularly cold winter, but it has a few colder snaps here and there, I think, for 1885, 1886. The next winter, following October, England Wales precipitation range of 135 to 155 millimeters is 1906, 1907. Very long gap, therefore. So 06, 07 looks like that. It's generally a mild winter, bringing in the winds from the west, but it does have a cold Christmas in 1906 and does have a white Christmas then. Otherwise, generally a mild winter. 1907, 1908 is another pretty mild winter. Has high pressure out to west, low pressure is to the east. It is a little bit of a teaser. It does have, particularly late on in winter and into the spring, actually, does have some cold snaps in the spring of 1908. There is a famous late April blizzard, actually, in 1908. But the winter's not particularly cold. Very wet winter then for 1909, 1910, with lots of low pressure through west of Europe. That's a really wet winter, 09-10. The next winter is going to be 1916, 1917. This is a cold winter. This follows October. England and Wales precipitation range of 135 to 155 millimeters. This one has blocking around Greenland and to Scandinavia with low pressure to the south and winds in from the east. That's a very cold winter in the middle of the First World War, a severe winter. Although it does not have a sub-zero CT month, it gets very close to it. But overall, that is a really cold winter. Next up, we've got 1923, 1924. Now, this looks like it should be a cold winter, but it isn't. This is one of those winters where the reanalysis doesn't tell you the whole picture. You'd look at that, wouldn't you, and think, well, this is a cold winter for 1923, 1924. It isn't particularly quite a mild winter. However, I think over on the continent, it's quite a cold winter. We do have lots of people watching on the continent, so hello to all of you that are watching, you know, within the continent of Europe. And for many of those areas, you know, to our east and south, it was actually a cold winter. But for us in the UK and Ireland, it was quite a mild winter in 1923, 1924. Then we've got 1928, 1929. That's another cold winter. Let's change the colour. That has a proper old Scandi. It's a very easterly winter with a big Scandinavian high and lots of easterly winds. So there aren't many cold winters in the first half of the first 40 years of the 20th century. There are a few. We've got two of them within this package of analogues, 1916, 1917 and 1928, 1929. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Then we've got 1935, 1936. This is quite a mild, wet winter with low pressure over UK and Western Europe. It does have a blocking signal, but overall, that is a mild and wet winter. Long gap then, really, really long gap through to 1976. So the next time we have an England and Wales precipitation range of 135 to 155 millimeters. After, when was it? It was 1935. Is October 1976 in the midst of that exceptionally wet autumn following the Great Drought. The winter of 76-77 is a bit of a teaser, has a blocking signal within the high latitudes, and does have a cold December in 1976 into early January 77, and then it gets a lot milder. February 1977 is very mild. It is an extremely cold winter for Eastern America, just about their coldest winter on record. And as I say, for us, it does start off quite cold, actually, in December but 76, which is quite strange after such a hot summer. But yeah, the rest of the winter generally gets a little bit milder. Next up, we've got another long gap. Next up is 1998, 1999. This is a classic mild sort of 1990s winter. High pressure to west, low pressure to the east winds in from the west. It does have a few cold snaps here and there, but it's not a cold winter. Then we've got 2001, 2002. This is another one of those winters where the reanalysis doesn't really tell you much. Has quite a cold December, and there is a cold spell around. There's a cold spell, particularly around Christmas and New Year. Then it gets milder through January, and it has a very wet and mild February in 2002. Got 2002, 2003, which looks like it should be a cold winter, but it isn't. It looks like it should have a lot of easy winds. There is a cold spell, coming and going, a few cold snaps here and there, but overall, that's quite a mild winter. Got 2004, 2005, following October, England and Wales precipitation of 135 to 155 millimetres. That one has plenty of higher pressure out to our west. Again, it's one of those sort of on-off type winters. Has a coldest interlude around Christmas with some snow in northern and western areas. January 2005 has an exceptionally mild first half, though, and then it gets much colder later on in February. So the coldest part of that winter is sort of second half of February into first half of March 2005. And then the last winter, following October, England and Wales precipitation of 135 to 155 millimetres, is the polar vortex of doom winter. It's 2019-2020. High behind the sage long now, everybody. So this one with high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, and in comes those westerlies, and just look at that polar vortex of doom. Incredibly mild, wet and windy winter for 2019-2020. Right, let's put all of that together then. This is how all Decembers combined are looking, following October, England and Wales precipitation of 135 to 155 millimetres. Mid-Atlantic ridge is favoured with these Octobers going towards Greenland, with some lower pressure to our east, winds in from a northeasterly direction. So you could envisage those Decembers have some cold potential, actually, when we have that precipitation range. All January's combined look quite interesting as well. Again, raising the heights towards Greenland and Iceland. I was a little bit surprised at this when I saw the data, when I created the analogues with lower pressure to the south. So definitely, again, you could envisage that both January and December have cold and wintry potential following these pretty wet Octobers. February also has above average heights in the middle of the Atlantic and extending north. I think the block signal is a little bit reduced, but overall, plenty of low pressure across Europe anyway. Generally centred to our south and east, with winds typically coming in from an east or northeasterly direction. The block signal is at its strongest in January, so therefore that probably has the greatest wintry potential. This is how all winters combined are looking, following October, England and Wales precipitation range of 135 to 155 millimetres. Again, it does favour this mid-Atlantic ridge up towards Greenland and northern blocking type ideal, with the lower pressure across the south and to our south and east. The winds would generally be favoured to be funnelled in from an east or northeast direction. There is a cold and wintry potential with that. Narrowing things down, just look at years after 1950. This is how we're looking, all Decembers combined post 1950. So, yes, again, we have the block signal, maybe even stronger, actually, in the Decembers. Lower pressure towards the east and southeast Europe could be very wintry there. And overall, you would expect to be bringing in quite a lot of easy winds. So it's a drier signal for the Decembers, but still potentially a little bit on the cold side, actually, with a lot of those Decembers. All January's combined does change a lot, actually, after 1950. Look at this. The blocking kind of goes to the pole and then goes over towards the Pacific side of the pole. We raise the heights to the south, and we have all of this lower pressure to the north. We send the jet stream northwards as well. So clearly a much milder signal in January after 1950. And then all February is just generally looking quite mild and wet, really, I think, after 1950. So, after 1950, it does make quite a big difference for January and February. It shifts them quite a lot onto the milder side, with higher pressure tend to be more pulled out into the Atlantic. Overall, this is how the winter looks. All winters combined, looking all winters combined, following England, Wales, October precipitation of 135 to 155 millimetres. It looks like this post 1950. low pressure over to the north of the country, high pressure to west-southwest. It is more of a westerly type signal. So after 1950, definitely there's a bit of a shift going on there towards a milder outcome following those wet Octobers. Right, that's set number 2 done. I'll pause the video there. When we come back, we're going to look at more data for precipitation, and it'll be another way of looking at the data, kind of. I'll explain it in a second, but I'll pause the video there, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, we're back, and we're ready to resume the next section of Part 2 of the 10th Winter 2021-2022 update. If you've enjoyed the video so far, please smash the like button, make sure you sub to the channel, and drop a comment. Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, okay, let's crack on then. So we're looking at England and Wales precipitation. We're looking at England and Wales precipitation. For this. So let's go back to the England-Wales precipitation page at UK Met. Now, as we explained earlier on, we have not got October's numbering yet, but we think that's going to come in at around 145 millimetres, which is quite a wet October, actually. So what we're going to look at next is by rain days. So this is quite interesting, because what happened in October is a little bit unusual. I'll just put webcam back up for this. What happened in October is a little bit unusual in that it was quite a wet month, but there wasn't all that many rain days. There's only like 16, 17 rain days during October, which is about average. You know, it's not very dry, but it's not excessively wet by rain days. So that tells us that when it did rain, it rained a lot, you know, during October, but it didn't rain, you know, regularly on every single day, if you see what I mean, as you expect in like the wettest month, really. So anyway, let's have a look at winters following Octobers with October rain days that have 16 or 17 days that are rain days. I'm going to start off with 1893 to 1894. This one is a mild, wet and windy winter, bringing winds from the west in 1893, 1894. That's another wet and mild winter start us off. Then we've got 1895, 1896. This is a mild and dry winter with high pressure over and to the west. We bring in the winds from off the Atlantic Ocean. We've got 1901, 1902. This is a very wet winter. It does have a blocking signal, but it's not a cold winter, actually. Just a very mild, wet winter, or just very wet winter for 1901, 1902. We've got 1918, 1919, again, following October's, with 16 or 17 rain days in them. This one, lots of low pressure off the Atlantic. High pressure is up here, so quite a mild winter, I think, for 1918, 1919. We've got 1942, 1943. This is another mild winter. Lots of low pressure up to the north. Winds in from a westerly direction. And then we've got 1949, 1950. It's back, and this one again has lots of low pressure out to west, and we bring in winds from a westerly direction. The next winter is 1966, 1967. This is one of the mildest winters of the 1960s. High pressure out here, low pressure to our east. That's another mild winter. And then the next one is going to be 1974, 1975. This is a mild, dry winter with high pressure to the south, and up comes those southwesterly winds. Then we've got 1980, 1981. So this has quite a cold January, I think, in 1981, with some snow. Otherwise, you know, it's milder on either side. Then we've got 82, 83. So this is a mild winter overall, but does have a very cold February. Overall low pressure to the north, high pressure to west-southwest. So mild and stormy, like through December, late December into January of 1983. But February 1983 goes very cold. We've got 83, 84. That's a cold zonal winter, very strange winter, really Atlantic driven, but with the air coming out of Canada, it's also, you know, a very cold winter for a zonal winter. We've got 1984, 1985. Interesting how many of these we got in the 1980s, isn't it? 84, 85 is our first genuinely cold winter, I think, for this batch of analogues, with lots of high pressure blocking to the north, low pressure to the south, and winds in from the east. That's a really cold winter in the middle of the 1980s. We've got 87, 88. This is a mild and wet winter low pressure in off the Atlantic with those southwesterly winds. That's a very wet and mild winter. 87, 88, 89, 90 is also another very mild and wet winter with low pressure to our west and winds coming in from a southwesterly direction. 2002, 2003 looks like it should be quite a cold winter, but it isn't. That's generally quite a mild winter, but has a couple of cold snaps in January. In particular, 2003. 06, 07 is another mild winter with high pressure to the south, low pressure is to the north, winds in from west or southwesterly direction. And 08, 09 is a colder winter with higher pressure to our north, especially over Scandinavia, lower pressure to the south. That's the first of several cold winters from 08, 09 to 2012, 2013. Talking of 2012, 2013, here it is. So, yes, October 2012 did have 16 or 17 rain days within it. And with this one, 2012, 2013, it is a cold winter, especially late on. It does have some cold and snowy weather, though, in January and February. But 2013, then it gets extremely cold and very, very snowy in March of 2013. And even goes on into April 2013. Overall, it's a cold winter. And the last genuinely cold winter of that run from 08, 09 to 12, 13. It's been a long time, hasn't it? And then we've got 2019, 2020, it's back again. So here it is, polar vortex of doom with the low pressure to the north and the high pressure to the south. The winds are in from a west or southwesterly direction. We don't want that one coming back. Right, let's have a look at all December's combined then, following October's with 16 or 17 rain days. So December generally favoured to be mild and westerly. January's combined, again looking really wet actually, deep low pressure across, covering all of Europe really, so just a very wet signal for both January. Is pretty mild too. February, a bit of a change. Looks like we favoured to set up a bit of a Scandinavian high favour in February. So out of the three winter months, February probably the one that comes out coldest actually. In terms of all winters combined, following October's with 16 or 17 rain days, just generally quite wet and mild really, with lots of low pressure in off the Atlantic Ocean. Narrowing things down to years after 1950, it's how all December's combined are looking. High pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, winds in from a west or southwest direction, a mild, wet and windy signal for those Decembers. All January's, again, looking pretty mild, wet and windy, low pressure to north, high pressure way to the southwest, generally mild, wet signal for the January's. All February's after 1950 strengthens that Scandinavian high. Interestingly, how strange that should happen, but there we go. So high pressure strengthens to the east, and you definitely envisage that at very least easterly winds, cold east winds are threatening. It looks like it could be a very cold signal for southeastern parts of Europe as well, by the way. And I'm so sorry, everybody. And all winters combined following October's with 60 or 70 rain days after 1950. It is a mild signal overall with low pressure west and winds in from a westerly direction. Okay, how are we doing for time? I wonder. 37 minutes. Got one more set of analogues to show you. We're going to count down the top 20. Can you believe this? The top 20. Mildest Octobers and the winters that follow. It's just going to be a bit of fun after the break. But I'll pause it there for the final time. And then when we return, we'll bring you the last set of analogues data. I've been doing pretty well considering we started off with 110 tabs, I have to say. I've rattled through these pretty quickly, I think, but more data still to come. So I'll see you in 2 seconds. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume the final section of the part 2 of the 10th Winter 2021-2022 update from GavsWeatherVids. If you enjoyed this 10th update in 2 parts, it's been epic, hasn't it? If you enjoyed it, then please smash the like button, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to tell your friends, family, and everybody else who subscribe. Thank you so much for doing that. Drop a comment, let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Right, let's bring you this last set of data, then. Look how much more spaced out the tabs are now compared to where we start. Wow. Started. Right, okay, back to CT page. So we established with the first batch of analogues that the CT came out at 12.1 for October 2021. That places it within the top 20 warmest Octobers on record. And so now we're going to go through them. We'll go through those top 20 warmest Octobers. Shall we do it? Let's do it. And you'll see where we fit in, actually, within the top 20. Right, so at number, let's do this. A little bit of countdown. Sorry, everybody. Right, so here we go there. I'm so sorry, everyone. Won't be a Gav, but Winter update about a cough. Right, so here we go then. At number 20, we've got 1861. The winter of 1861-1862 has high pressure blocking to the north. It has low pressure to the south. We bring in winds from the east. A cold winter to start us off at 1861-1862. At number 19, we've got 1908. We saw it earlier on. It's back again. The 19th warmest October out of top 20 is not for CT. It's 1908. The winter of 1908-1909 is a cold winter. We bring in the winds from the east. Our next winter at number 18 is 1977-1978. So the 18th mildest October is 1977. This one with below average heights to the south and above average heights to the north. It's a teaser winter. Teaser. I'll get myself into trouble, but it is a little bit of a teaser. It's a little bit of a teaser winter in 1977, 1978, and cold in February of 78. Wow. Right, number 17. Good, this, isn't it? Good, isn't it, this? Right, number 17, we've got 1945. Winter of 1945, 1946 is another little bit of a teaser, actually, with some higher pressure to the north and some lower pressure around here. Not particularly cold, but it does have a little bit of a cold snap. In January of 1946, then we've got 1954, 1955 at number 16, with some higher pressure around Greenland in the North Atlantic. Low pressure is just here. A lot of these years occurred earlier on, of course, in the video. They're back again. So that's a cold winter, especially in January and February of 1955. At number 15, not off. I'm so sorry, everybody. We've got 1978, 1979, so the 15th. Wow. The 15th. The 15th warmest October is 1978. That's actually said 1908 in the tab. That should not be there. So let's see if we can remove that. There we go. So it's 1978, 1979 at number 15. The winter discontent is in at 15 with low pressure to the south and high pressure blocking around Greenland. And yeah, in come those winds from the easterly direction. It's a cold and snowy winter. 78, 79. I love it. Right, at number 14, we've got 1990, 1991. The Scandi High, bringing in the bitterly cold easterly winds in February 1991. There we go. Number 13 is 2021. So, yeah, the 13th mildest October is actually 2021. And so what is winter 2021-2022 going to do? There's the question marks. All will be revealed. Dum. Right, let's go. Sorry, everyone. Let's go to number 12. The 12th mildest October is 2017. Winter 2017-2018 has low pressure to the east, high pressure is out to the west. It's the beach from the east winter with that snowy freeze up at the end of February of 2017. At number 11, we've got 1968-1969 blocking around Greenland. Low pressure to the south, winds in from the east. It has a very cold and snowy February. At number 10, we've got 2013. Winter 2013-2014 is mild, wet and windy. Low pressure in off Atlantic. Very stormy winter, that one. Alright, we're top 10 now. Number 9, we've got 2014-2015. This with some higher pressure to west and lower pressure to the north, winds in from west. It's about average temperature-wise with a few cold snaps, but it's pretty banal winter. At number 8, we've got 1959-1960. This is a mild and wet winter. Low pressure in off the Atlantic Ocean. At number 7, we've got 2011-2012. Freeze up for the east and southeast of Europe around the Balkans. Hello to all of you watching from down there. Freeze up there in February 2012, or in winter 2012. For us in the UK 9, actually it's a winter off. We have a run of cold winters by 09 to 12, 13, but we have one off, which is at 2011, 2012. However, it does have one very cold spell early in February of 2012. At number 6, we've got 1921, 1922. This one, milder and wetter, really. A mild, wet winter. 1921, 1922. We've got at number 5, 1995, 1996. So the 5th mildest October, warmest October, is October 1995. Winter of 95, 96 is a cold winter. Wow, wow, wow. With high pressure blocking to the north, low pressure to the south, winds in from the east. That's a very easterly winter for 95, 96. It's been a long time since we've had one of those sort of easterly winters. At number 4, we've got 1969, 1970. This one again has Mid-Atlantic ridge back to blocking, low pressure to the east. This one gets very cold later on, and especially so sort of end of February into March, but regular cold snaps through the winter of 69, 70. At number 3, we've got 2006, 2007. Mild winter, this one. High pressure to the south, low pressure to the north. Winds in from the west and from the south. West too. Number 2, we've got 2005, 2006. So October 2005 was the second warmest October on CT record. This one is a failed cold winter. It looks like it should be very cold with high pressure to the north, and you think bringing in winds from the east. It is not. It's not a particularly cold winter. It does have some cold snaps and is really quite cold for a 4-week run from second half February into first half of March. And at number 1, the warmest October on CT record is 2001. Winter of 2001, 2002. It looks like that. Again, analog doesn't tell you a great deal. December 2001 is quite cold, particularly so around Christmas to New Year. And then January gets milder. February 2002 is very mild and wet. Let's put all of that together then. This is how all Decembers combined are looking, following the top 20 warmest Octobers for the CT. A mild and wet signal really for the Octobers, but notice all of this blocking lurking around Svalbard. To North Scandinavia, so threatened to be cold, but generally a lot of these Decembers look as though they're quite mild and wet. Same cannot be said for January. It's how all January's combined looking, following the top 20 warmest Octobers. The blocking strengthens to the north and to the east. The low pressure gets shunted southwards. Winds favoured to be coming in from the east, therefore in those January's definite increase in wintry potential. All February's combined, really raising the heights around Greenland, and with this trough of low pressure to our south and east again, could envisage that we increase the chance of cold weather in the February. So definite, shift in January and February to a colder potential outlook. All winters combined, bottom of the top 20 warmest Octobers look like that. Blocking to the north, higher pressure to the south, winds in from the east. That favours a cold winter. Bear in mind, December is mild and wet. Narrowing things down lastly to the years after 1950. This is how all Decembers combined looking, following the top 20 warmest Octobers post 1950. Favouring, again, quite a mild and wet signal for those Decembers. What about January? This is how it looks after 1950. Again, the blocking strengthens to the north. Lots of high latitude blocking, low pressure seemingly getting pushed southwards. So, again, we favour to bring in a colder, scenario after 1950 with those Januaries. And February looks like it's the pink, though. So, all February's combined after 1950, again, following top 21 Octobers, again, the blocking centres around Greenland, with a trough low pressure owing to south country winds coming in from the east. Definite cold potential for those Februaries. And lastly, all winters combined, following the top 20 warmest Octobers, post 1950. A very strong blocking signal within high latitudes, and so as we send the jet stream of the low pressure southwards, you could definitely envisage there is the potential for cold weather with those winters. So we aim potentially favouring a cold winter after this warm October, as we've already established, really, when we looked at the first set of analogues at the beginning of the video. And we're done. There we go. How long has that taken us? Coming up for 15 minutes. I don't think that's too bad. but 110 tabs. I'm quite pleased now. I thought it'd be over an hour. So I got through that pretty fast, didn't I? Right, okay, so that's it, man. So in terms of the data, I think clearly warm Octobers are favouring cold winters, but it's patchier for the wet October. So that makes it very difficult, doesn't it? If I had a dry October, would be much more straightforwardly cold signal. The fact that had a wet October combined though with the warm October makes it very difficult, this. But definitely the warm October side of things favours colder winter anyway, particularly so in January and February. Right, so we'll see what effect all this has. So that's a 10th update done and dusted in 2 parts. We're finished now. We roll on to the 11th update next Sunday. And again, that being 2 parts Sunday and Monday. I think might show some ENSO analogues for the 11th update. That would be interesting, won't it? But yeah, that's a 10th update done and dusted. You will find out as the very first thing that you see beginning of the 11th update on Sunday. You'll find out how this 10th update in 2 parts has affected the swingometer, if it has. Will this have caused a swing to cold, a further swing to cold, or will it, you know, show a swing to mild? You will find, or will it just be static? You will find out at the beginning of the 11th Winter 2021-2022 update next Sunday. For the 10th Winter 2021-2022 update, though, after 50 minutes and in 2 parts, that's all for now. And thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.